Hello, and welcome to the Fittest Freedom podcast. I'm so glad to have you here. I'm Kelly Howard, your host. And today's podcast episode is going to be pretty quick, and it's almost a PSA because as this podcast drops, we'll be going into spring. It depends on where you live. Spring may start a little later than it does where I live. I'm in Houston, and it usually gets warm. It can get warm in May. In March. It's damn warm in May. So what I want to talk about today is actually hydration, mostly water, but also stick around to the end because I'm going to also address like different kinds of electrolytes to use and why. So really quick, hopefully this is like we slam through this one, but I'm going to start with a story, and I'm telling a story on someone, happens to be my partner. He doesn't listen to the podcast. If you happen to know him, don't tell him I told the story. Number of years ago, we were mountain biking, and it was several of us were out, and it was early spring. It hadn't gotten that hot yet, and we were all riding, but he had and still does have a tendency to not do a lot of hydrating and not do a lot of electrolytes at all. So at the time, a girlfriend of mine was along, and she is fast. She's really fast. So no names to be named, but my partner did everything he could to keep up with her because he just wanted to be as fast as the girls. So, and he's a great rider. Okay. Well, halfway through the day, I'm done. I go back to where we started from. And a few minutes later, my girlfriend shows up and she's like, I think I broke your boyfriend. I'm like, what do you mean? And she said, well, last I saw, he was laying on his back in the middle of, honest to God, over the hill road. And he looked like he was going to get sick to his stomach. I said, okay. So I went, got a car, found over the hill road, went up there, picked him up, and he was in bad shape. So we did all the things that he needed. I did not take him to the hospital. We got him like the baby electrolytes and gave him a Coca-Cola and did all those things. He felt terrible. He felt terrible for about, I don't know, 24 hours or less. But that was heat stroke. And heat stroke can be avoided in different ways, and we can talk about that another time. But a large way of avoiding heat stroke is by drinking your water and using your electrolytes. So the other reason that you don't want to get heat stroke is that you can get it easier later. Okay. So that's an extreme case, but know that if you're out there doing longer hikes, you're doing, longer kayaking, you're doing these things outdoors, the possibility of it happening is there. So let's talk about water. Okay. So the first part is that most people do not get as much water as they think they do. If I ask somebody how much water they drink, they'll be like, oh, I get about 8 glasses a day. I'm like, okay, and show me your cup. And they'll hold up their cup. And if you're on YouTube watching, I'll hold up mine. It's like a very ugly 32-ounce glass jar that the day it breaks, I'm going to be heartbroken because I've been using it for years. But I know that if I drink 3 of those in a day, then I pretty much hit what I need to hit. Okay. So a lot of times, though, we think we're drinking more water than we are. So track your water. If you don't know how much water you're drinking, right away, track your water. And why, you say, why should I track my water, Kelly? What does it matter? So let's talk about why you want to have more hydration, the right amount of hydration. First thing is athletes drink water and stay hydrated. That is just the way it is. So since I know everybody listening is either an athlete right now or on her way to being there, athletes drink water and they stay hydrated. Okay. So things that happen, if you don't drink enough water, you can get muscle cramps and you can get joint pain. Okay. That's one of the things that just happens. If you're having a lot of joint pain, try drinking more water and see what happens. Another thing that happens is you get a dry mouth. Now, people be like, well, I'm not thirsty. I just have a dry mouth. Well, unless that's like a normal thing for you, a dry mouth is, now that I'm talking about it, my mouth is dry. A dry mouth is a sign of dehydration. So if that's not your norm, then know that that's a sign. Another one is headaches. Have you ever gotten one of those? Like I've had it happen to me. One of those like headaches that just like go, oh my gosh. And you take in a good solid, I don't know, few cups of water or whatever it is, and you notice that headache starts going away. Headaches come from not enough water. Another thing is fatigue. When you catch yourself getting fatigued, and we'll talk about more of this in electrolytes, but when you catch yourself like just getting really fatigued, things to look out for. One, it might just be too hot for you. Okay. I have taken people in fact, last year in Texas, we had a very, very hot summer. And I took a group of women on a hike, and it was too hot. I shouldn't have done it. It was too hot. And people were just like exhausted halfway through. And there was nothing we could do but finish. So that's when we started passing out the electrolytes and everything else we'll talk about. But fatigue can happen. So know that if your energy levels start plummeting, that's something to look at. Another one, and this is a big one, sugar cravings. Dehydration, it interferes with the body's ability to use glucose stores for energy. And so it can trigger cravings for food high in sugar and carbohydrates. Now, we're going to talk about that at the very end, because I do use some products that are high in sugar and high in carbohydrates in certain instances. But when you just catch yourself like wanting to eat a lot of sugar, and you're having that thing going on, and this is not when you're out on the trail, 3 hours in, this is when you're sitting at your desk, drink more water. And also, like, just kind of an aside, drink water first before you eat or anything else. We all know this, but the truth is it will slow us down. Weight gain. This is a big one, and people don't even realize this, but when you don't drink enough water, you can pack on the pounds, because when water's in short supply in your body, your metabolism slows down to prevent your body from burning fat. So more water, better metabolism. And then, like, this is just a telltale thing, is one of them is the color of your urine is too dark. Check your urine. Your urine should be seeable, but not noticeable, right? Like, you can look at a chart online, or maybe we'll stick one in the show notes for you. But basically, you're looking for lightish colored urine. You don't want your urine to be dark. If your urine is darkish, then either there's something wrong, or else you are just not getting enough water. And you start not sweating enough too. And sometimes people say, like, the reasons they don't drink enough water, they don't like to sweat. Well, too bad. Sweating is like, when I was a kid, my mother used to tell me, I don't remember what it was. It was basically women glow, horses sweat. I'm like, you know what? I'm a horse. I sweat, and that's okay. I'm fine with that, because it's good for us. The other thing is that another reason people tell me they don't want to drink water is that they pee too much, right? And they don't want to tell people they've got to stop to pee or whatever and so on. Don't worry about it. Okay. Just do it. Okay. When I say that, just do it. Drink the water, pee when you need to. End of story. People understand. Okay. So don't worry. And the other thing is that when you get to a point where you realize that you're not sweating at all, and you've been exercising, this is typically a really big sign of the beginning of dehydration, heat stroke. You'll start getting cold. You don't want to get there. Don't get there. Just remember, you drink your water, and then, and I'm kind of talking about this right now as if we're out in the woods doing exercise, but this is the same thing with at home, right? This is when you're sitting at your desk. So ways that you can get yourself to drink more water. One of them is you just carry your water bottle with you. When I'm at my desk, I use that clear glass, because I will see the water as it's going down, or I will see that the water hasn't gone down at all and I need to drink. When you use a bottle that is solid, you don't always know where you are. So that's one of those things that you consider. So carry water with you. Don't skip the sugary drinks. I mean, we all know this, okay? But sugary drinks, unless you're in that state of, oh my gosh, I'm going into heat stroke, or I haven't had enough in me, sugary drinks work great then. You just don't want to do much. But if you're drinking them consistently, they're messing with your water. When you have water, if you're not a fan of it, use stuff like lemons and limes to lemons, limes, cucumber, those kinds of things to flavor it. Try not to use the artificial stuff. It's not the greatest stuff for us. I mean, if it's all you can do, then it's better than nothing. But I would highly recommend just learn to consume water. Herbal tea, it's a great option. Get supplements that you actually put in water. And if you're watching on YouTube, that's my supplement right there. And it goes in water. And then I sip it all day long and I keep refilling it with water. And so that's part of the day. But flavor it. Another thing is you can tie it to a routine. In the morning when I wake up, I have a water bottle next to my bed. I drink water when I take one supplement that I take early in the morning. So it's a routine. Like I just finish my water bottle while I'm, finishing that or while I'm taking that supplement, but tie it to something. Track it. It's a good one. There are even high-tech water bottles out there now that connect to your smartphone and record how much you drink. Okay. Like if you really want to get serious about this, you can look at it. It'll even give you an alarm. You haven't been drinking enough. I mean, there's so many ways to do this. Fizzy water, sparkling water. Just find things that will encourage you to get the water that you need in. How much water do you need? Just roughly. Let's just go with a super roughly, and I will actually put a hydration calculator in the show notes, but roughly, if you're a female and you're over 5 foot, reach for 8 glasses of water a day. Okay. Do your best. It's not that much, really. Sounds like a lot, but it's not that much. All right. So we're going to take a quick break. I want to tell you about something very cool coming up. And then I want to talk to you about electrolytes and things to do when you really need to do something. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for coming back. And let's talk about electrolytes for just a second. So here's Kelly's take on electrolytes. Okay. I have been using water and electrolytes for a very long time. I am not an expert in supplementation, but I can tell you what's worked for me. And then it's up to you to kind of figure out what works for you. Okay. But base level. So during the colder months of the year, which in Houston is like one, I don't sweat so much. So I don't use electrolytes unless I'm going out for an extended activity. For me, an extended activity in the cold-ish is usually about 2+ hours. In the summer, or as soon as it starts getting warm enough that I'm going to sweat, then what I do is if it's just what you want to know all about Kelly sweating. Okay, let's talk about it for a second. So if I'm not sweating, then that's the summer months. I'm not going really long. I'm just going to use some water. I'm not too worried about it. Let's say we move into spring. It's getting a little warmer. I don't know what warmer is here. 80 degrees, maybe 85. So it's a little bit of sweat. It's not bad. Then I'm going to start mixing in about, let's say, a half a bottle of electrolytes and a bottle of water every hour and a half or so, roughly. Okay. This is not a perfect science. This is what works for me. As it gets hotter and hotter, now we're getting into the temps of 90, 100, that kind of thing. It is hot as heck. Okay. So I am going to go half and half. I'll do a bottle of electrolytes, a bottle of water. I split them. What I really do normally is I put a Camelback. I fill a Camelback up with water, and then I just alternate. I'll take a sip of the Camelback. I'll take a sip of the electrolytes. I usually bring a couple bottles of electrolytes if I'm going long, right? So I'm talking about an hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour event. When you're doing 30 minutes, you don't need to pack on the electrolytes. Okay. You really don't. As you move into an hour plus, then start thinking about them. What you need to know about electrolytes is that everybody is different in what they like and what works for them. Some electrolytes will upset some people's stomachs. So try them out. Like for me, what I use, I use a few things. One of them is I use Nun Sport, and that's NUNN Sport. I also use something called LMNT. I don't actually know what that stands for, LMNT. Or lately, I've been using something occasionally called Salt Stick. And Salt Stick is basically really, like if you really look at it close. It's salt tablets with a little bit of flavor, and it gives you something to suck on when you're out there suffering in the heat, which is hard to imagine right now, right? Because we've all come through winter, at least if you're in the northern side of the world. So those are things that work for me. Try them out. Like a lot of people I know use liquid IV. They really like it. I have not tried it. Some people I know use Gatorade. I'm not a fan of Gatorade. Okay, I'm just going to say that. I'm not a fan of Gatorade. And that is based only on what I used to know about Gatorade, not what I know about now. Okay, Gatorade may have changed 100%, and I'm not aware of that. It used to be basically a colored sugar drink that looked like it would be good to it looked like it'd be good for you because they had athletes drinking it on TV. But the truth was it wasn't. So now, and please, I mean, if you work with Gatorade, forgive me if your Gatorade has become the best thing in the block, but know that you should look at the labels. All of these things, I'm always looking at the labels because you want to know what you're putting in your body. There's a couple of other things that I just want to talk about, and then we're going to wrap this puppy up. One of them is that when you get to a point, like let's say that you have that you are out, you are going long, you are feeling a little bit of these things that I'm talking about. Like, you're feeling a little fatigued, you're feeling maybe dizzy, you're not feeling well. I suggest that you always carry like what I would call a carbohydrate chew or liquid. Okay. There are various ones. The ones I use something called shot blocks by Cliff, shot blocks. And they're just like, I don't know, they're like little gelatinous masses that have typically, I mean, look at the ingredients once again, because the ingredients are different on all of these, but they typically have some carbs in them. They have some salt in them. They have some sugar in them. And those are the things that you need to be getting in your body when you're not feeling that way. There's something else I use a lot, and it's called GU, G-U. It is an acquired taste because it's kind of, it's very thick, and it is sweet. It has sugar in it. It has caffeine in it. It has carbs in it. But all of those things are the things you need if you suddenly start catching yourself on a trail, out doing something. You're feeling a little dizzy. You're just not feeling it. You're feeling fatigued. These are the signs that you need to be taking in something that's going to help your body along. Something else that happens, and I'll wrap it up with this one quick story, is that our brains use a lot of calories. Okay, our brains use a lot of what we consume. And a number of years ago, I was training for a race. It was a skate race. It was hot. It was very hot. We were going for a very long time. It was a distance race, so we'd probably been out 5 hours. Back then, I didn't know what I know now. Back then, I was getting by on the fact that I was in my 30s and, I could get away with stuff. So I was going along, and all of a sudden, I realized that my brain was gone. I was actually like in like sheer dumb brain fog. And so we stopped somewhere. I actually got a Coca-Cola, all the caffeine, all the sugar, and drank part of it. And shortly thereafter, I mean, like within minutes, everything came back. My brain became clear again. And like I had my energy back. And it wasn't because it was a magic of Coca-Cola. It was because I was getting the things in really quick that I needed at that moment, the sugar and the caffeine. And it made me start looking into what we're talking about today. So what can you take away from today? Here I am. I told you it was going to be quick, and instead I've been talking forever. But just a couple of things. One, in the winter, well, no, let me start here. One, drink your water. Okay. If you're having any of these issues we're talking about, drink your water. If you're not having any of these issues, drink your water. Okay. It's going to make a big difference in your life. Two, get to know your body. Try some electrolytes. Try some little ones. Like a lot of these that I'm talking about, you can buy like one little tube. And in that tube, you test it. Does it upset your stomach? Do you feel fine? when you use it and you put it in your water and you go for an hour, do you feel a little like, I mean, for some people, sorry, this is going to be a little more information than you know, but some people get diarrhea. So you want to know these things before you actually start using them all the time. Test them. See what you like. See what you like the taste of. Because whatever you get, you want it to be something that you will use. Okay. Last thing I'm going to say is what we just talked about. Drink your water. If you catch yourself with any of these symptoms, pay attention. Before you start going out in the summer, doing things outdoors that require sweating, make sure you've got an electrolyte mix that you enjoy that works for you. And then just be uber aware of everything going on in your body, because that's what athletes do. So have a wonderful day, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.